नमस्कार। आज 7 अप्रैल 2024 संडे के दिन डॉक्टर के HCFI एक्सपर्ट ग्रुप एनवायरनमेंट की इस राउंड टेबल में हमारे सभी एक्सपर्ट मेंबर्स का और जो व्यूअर्स डॉक्टर के अग्रवाल जी के यूट्यूब फेसबुक पेज से जुड़े उनका सबका स्वागत है। और आज जैसा कि आप जानते हैं 7 अप्रैल वर्ल्ड हेल्थ डे है और डॉक्टर के अग्रवाल जी ने पब्लिक हेल्थ के लिए, एनवायरनमेंट के लिए अपनी पूरी लाइफ समर्पित की और लास्ट मोमेंट तक लोगों की हेल्थ को ध्यान रखते हुए अपनी हेल्थ को ना देख कर और उनकी ब्लेसिंग जो आज हम लोगों के साथ हैं, उसमें उन्होंने अपनी पूरी लाइफ जो है लोगों की सेवा में लगाई और उसी लेगेसी को हम लोग कंटिन्यू कर रहे हैं आप लोगों के सहयोग से। आज का टॉपिक हमारा है स्टेट ऑफ द ग्लोबल क्लाइमेट रिपोर्ट 2023। दिस इज रिलीज बाई वर्ल्ड मेट्रोलॉजिकल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन WMO। अभी 23 मार्च के जो वर्ल्ड मेट्रोलॉजिकल डे है उसके लिए रिलीज की गई। और जैसा कि आप जानते हैं कि एज पर दिस जो अभी रिपोर्ट रिलीज हुई है वर्ल्ड WMO की स्टेट ऑफ द ग्लोबल क्लाइमेट रिपोर्ट, इसके हिसाब से 2023 ईयर जो पास्ट हमारा है, इट वाज द हॉटेस्ट ईयर इन द हिस्ट्री अभी तक जो है, जो भी रहा है। और एज पर रिपोर्ट द ग्लोबल एवरेज जो है नियर सरफेस टेम्परेचर एट अबाउट 1.45 डिग्री एबव द प्री इंडस्ट्रियल बेसलाइन। तो हम लोग जो 1.5 डिग्री की बात कर रहे थे, जो पेरिस एग्रीमेंट है, और उसके लिए तो ऑलरेडी 1.45 डिग्री एबव द प्री इंडस्ट्रियल बेसलाइन जो है ऑलरेडी वी अचीव दैट। The report says that the record has been broken for the GHG level and ocean heat, surface temperature, sea level rise, Antarctic sea ice loss and glacier net retreat. और जो concentration of the जो three main gases CO2, methane and nitrous oxide reach record high जो observed levels that, और particularly जो CO2 levels हैं that was the are 50% higher than the pre-industrial levels era जो। एक्सट्रीम वेदर जो फिनोमेना है अंडरमाइंस सोशियो इकोनॉमिक्स डेवलपमेंट, हीट वेव्स, फ्लड, ड्रॉट और वाइल्ड फायर एंड rapidly intensifying cyclones cause misery and upending everyday life of millions of the people that way, and loss of the $1 billion economic loss that was also because of this. These are the extreme weather conditions. As per, and the cost of the climate inaction is higher than the cost of climate action. That this means if we take the climate action, we will be saved. Otherwise, the most of the people going to affect on these extreme weather conditions. Ocean heat content reached the highest level in 65 years. That was Secretary General of WMO, Caleste Saulo said, climate crisis is the defining challenge that humanity faces and is closely intertwined with the inequality crisis, as witnessed by growing food security, population displacement, and biodiversity losses. So there are many issues we'll discuss today with these reports. We know that the climate issues that we have already taken previously some meetings on that. But what action, at least individual level, at the local level, we can take, and particularly focus two issues: more plantation and adoption of renewable energy. So that is at least every individual can do that. So we'll discuss all details. First, I'll request Ajay Raghav, who is very senior officer, Ministry of Environment, Forest, Climate Change, and looking the climate change issues in the ministry. He has joined. He's our friend. So I'll request Ajay ji to, I mean, more, he can give very clear and more focused about the India's perspective in this climate issues regard. Over to Ajay.
Thank you, Anil Kumarji. It was a googly for me because I just returned from 10 days away. I was away and I just woke up and saw this message from you to join. So I came to listen to what you want to discuss. But thank you for giving me this opportunity. Of course, I'm dealing with the climate change issues in the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. I have not gone through this report, but while I saw your message at 11:30, I just tried to see it on my mobile. And so this is a regular report which comes out every year. So there is a state of environment report for a number of years now, and they come usually in the first half of the year for the previous year. So in that series, this is a report by the World Meteorological Organization. India is also party to it, and the Director General of IMD is the resident representative of India in the WMO. So probably you should have called somebody from the Indian Meteorological Department also to discuss this report, because they are the official representative of India in this forum. Nonetheless, climate change is a very diverse subject. Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change is the nodal ministry at the federal level. But we deal with more than 25 ministries because, there are impact of climate change, there are policy level issues. So in this regard, number of technical reports keep coming. And I know that this report is in that continuation. But this is a very important report because this is an official UN body, and every government gives data to them. That's how they bring out this report. We also give through IMD the information related to temperature, humidity, precipitation, and so on. So there are different observational networks through which WMO works, and I hope I am audible.
Yes, Raghavji, very clear. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, so in this context, I just wanted to say that WMO is an official UN body which gives this report, and these reports are taken very seriously, not only in the scientific world but also in the negotiations, because the mid-year negotiation happens in Bonn, in Germany, in June. So I'm pretty sure that there will be certain discussion on this report as well, because there are reports on research dialogue and other agenda items under the climate negotiations. So as we see, and as Dr. Anil Kumar mentioned, that this report brings out some key announcements, and I have not gone through this 53-page report, but certainly I will do. I was traveling for last 10 days. I just came, and I think this report was released very recently on 19th March. And one of the important thing which was mentioned is about the temperature rise. So global mean surface temperature has already reached 1.5 plus minus 0.12 with, I think, some uncertainty. So what we see is that the Paris Agreement goal was 2 degrees, and with taking efforts to keep it to 1.5, so we are very close to this reaching this dubious mark, because we as a global community wanted to avoid this, because as the IPCC report of 2018 of global warming of 1.5 has very clearly shown that the impacts, if you compare from 1.5 degree and 2 degrees, will be enormous, whether in terms of biodiversity loss, sea level rise, the onset of the certain, I would say, the tipping points and impact on the extreme weather. So there is we may say that it's only 0.5 degree difference between 1.5 and 2, but this global climatic systems are very complicated, and very slight changes also impacts the weather pattern enormously, as we have seen already that there is increase in the extreme weather events throughout the world, and also not only increase in the frequency but also the intensity of these events which are happening. So it is not that we are only facing uh, heat related issues, but also there are sometimes cooling impacts which are happening. For example, extreme weather in terms of snowstorms coming, and the record low temperatures we have seen this time in China, for example, -50 also, which were not seen earlier. So there are some unexplained and very diverse impacts which climate is getting impacted. Now, coming to the basic question on who is responsible, we all know that the developed countries have taken up most of the global carbon space, and this temperature increase has happened because of the cumulative historical emissions which has happened in last 200 years. And countries in Asia like India have recently started developing in last 25-30 years, and our share of the carbon budget is only 4% despite having 18% of the global population. So we are not responsible, but we are getting impacted by this increase in the global temperatures, and we will continue to have more intense impacts of climate change because we don't have that adaptive capacity as the countries in the West have. So same level of cyclone may have more impact in developing countries than in a developed country. But we have progressed very well through our systems like IMD and ISRO in predicting and giving early warning to our people on the coastal, for example, for the cyclones, and we have minimum impacts. In fact, 0 deaths were recorded in the recent cyclone along the eastern coast in Odisha and other states. So, but unfortunately, we also have large development deficit, and we will continue to grow despite all these challenges. There will be more pressure on us not to use coal, but we will continue to have transition away from coal, but coal cannot become zero overnight. We continue to have around 70% of the generation capacity using coal. The installed capacity has come down drastically, but it will take some time. And as the government has decided that all new power plants will be supercritical and beyond, and we have been using higher end technologies, we are also taking out I would say, the inefficient coal power units. More than 200 have been phased out in the country, and around 15,000 megawatts of power. They were having total installed capacity of around 15,000 megawatts. So there are a number of steps which the government is taking, including the large increase in the renewable energy sources, whether it is the expansion of solar, wind, biomass, and other sources. We are also having a very ambitious ethanol blending program for the petrol, where the share is going to increase to 20% blending. So it is going to reduce our emissions from the road transport sector. Then we also have certain large schemes on the biogas based, which is coming from for example, the Govardhan scheme, where the cow dung cattle dung is being converted into biogas, which is being used for mixing into the CNG and using for transport sectors. And around 100 plants have come up, and there are plans to set up more than 5,000 in the country. It will also be supplied through the piped natural gas. So there also, again, the blending will be 1%, 2%, and so on. So the number of steps, including electric vehicles and other things which the India is taking. But despite all these actions, our development deficit is so large that we will continue to have large investments in infrastructure. And you know, when you have infrastructure development in terms of roads, the metro connectivities, harbors, the lot of other infrastructure which is happening in the country will require two important ingredients, and one is cement and another is the steel. And both these are very highly energy intensive industries, which also contribute around 8 to 9% of the greenhouse gases in the country. And similarly, worldwide also, their share is in similar terms. So our emissions are going to increase in the short run, even though we have set the net zero target of 2070. But in the short run, our emissions are going to increase. But what we are also doing is that our GDP growth is much higher than our emission growth. So that means we are decoupling our growth and the energy, the growth and the emissions. So we have already achieved, for example, emission intensity reduction of 33% by 2019. And the last report which we had submitted to the UN was in December 2023, which you all must have seen, which has the national greenhouse gas inventory for 2019. So in this context, what we are doing as the government is trying to make our economy more efficient and take number of mitigation actions across all the sectors, whether it is agriculture or it is through waste management or transport sector or the electricity sector, increasing the forest cover, and all those activities. So number of steps which we have taken. But we as a country want the developed countries to take more responsibility, which they are not doing. And they are not doing their fair share. So if they say that they become net zero by 2050, it is not a charity which they are doing. They should have become net zero by today itself, because you need to give some space to other developing countries to grow and come to a certain level of development. That is why we had given a net zero target of 2070, and the developed countries have to become net zero much before 2050, so that the net zero global target of 2050 can be achieved. Now, these what we have seen, that there was a temporary dip in the emissions from some of the developed countries, but it's again started increasing in 21, 22 in some of the cases. So this increase in the temperatures, which the WMO report has brought out, is something very worrisome for all the countries, including India. And we continue to demand the developed countries to not only decrease their emissions more drastically, but also provide finance, technology, and capacity building, which they are bound to provide and which they are not doing so far, so that the developing countries do not follow the same path which the developed countries have followed in last more than 100 years of development. If we continue to do that, then it will be very difficult. So these are some of the issues we face internationally and on daily basis at various forums, not only at the UN meetings, but also meetings like G20, G7, Quad meetings, or SCO meetings, BRICS, BASIC. There are so many forums where climate is being discussed, and these are important issues, not only related to environment and climate, but they are very basic issues which are related to the economic development itself. So WMO reports are very important and eye opener, and I think we should use these reports to further put pressure on the developed countries to do more. And I would like to just end by saying that the climate change problem is basically a issue of consumption. So if you consume more, what the developed countries have been doing so far, you are going to emit more, whether it is energy requirements or whether eating more meat or having bigger houses or having large cars and number of cars. Basically, it is the consumption which is driving these emissions. Even if there are temporary decrease in the emissions from the developed countries, it is not because their consumptions have reduced, but it is only the production in their countries have reduced and they are importing more of the goods from the developing countries, for example China and other East Asian countries, and they continue to enjoy their wasteful lives. So this is what is happening, and that is why India has given a call, and Honorable Prime Minister has given a call for the life, which is the lifestyle. So unless and until you change the lifestyles and reduce their consumptions, you're not going to solve the climate problem. Hence, we believe that this is not a call only for Indians. Indian emissions is only 1/3 of the world, and we don't want that our emissions continue to be lowest. We want it to be lowest, but not at the cost of development, not at the cost of sustainable development, not at the cost of eradication of the poverty, which are very important along with the climate action. But the other developed countries have to realize that they have to give space to countries like India to grow and act responsibly by reducing their emissions. So this is the message which should come from the WMO, and we would continue to do this at the international fora. And I think general public and the NGOs and other think tanks should also write uh, uh, nationally and internationally, so that there is more pressure on the developed countries to increase their actions, not only in their reducing their own emissions, but also providing the meaningful support. So I would just like to end here and give this back to Dr. Anil Kumar. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Raghoji, giving the so much like actions being taken by the government of India at different like levels, different ministries, and you are part of that. And you have just very highlighted all the, I mean, different departments, ministry, and organizations doing with respect to India, and we are doing pretty well. I mean, as compared to other like developed country. I mean, whatever with the sustainable development, because we have to go for development also. And particularly, I think these four important things I have already said, adopt mission life, and this is for everybody individual responsibility. So if we change our adopt our the lifestyle for environment, and as a traditional way we are already doing our like grandfather grandmothers and all other we're doing that, and we must adopt that. And besides the other things like individual can do, the maximum like in India we have the going to come monsoon. At individual level, our contribution towards the tree plantation and tree protection is very particularly green vision of India. This is very very important for at least reducing the impact in the very local level. That was if you see the surrounding where the all the trees are there and its area is very green and good tree plantation. You've already observing. I mean, temperature is less as compared to others. And also the very important these solar mission that government of India is like besides international solar missions at the have big plants level, but at the individual household level as a solar rooftop. I mean, this is the and particularly the for more than 1 crore houses in the for the solar rooftop mission that was going to help the on all energy towards the renewable energy as compared to going for coal and all. So these are the very very important actions, and I think two actions that is Khandelwalji is here. I must agree that two important area, particularly the biodegradable solid waste, particularly being still being dumped in the landfill sites, and the all the methane and emitting, including the like sewage sewage treatment plants if not installed, even not working. There's also is one of the cause for the particularly going all the sewage in the drains and the all rivers. That is also causing a methane and all. So these are very important area. We have to all work together because this is the waste management is one of the area which is lacking, is still lacking. I understand. I was in government. Bravoji is in government. He knows that including Ministry of Urban Development and Ministry of Environment, trying to, but still this area needs a lot of attention, and all our individual levels and all the organizations level is very important. So thank you, Raghaji, and I think that is the will continue that. Now I request Dr. Ravindra Kumarji, because the one of the important also the contributor see transport sector. I mean, though a lot of actions like EV policy and all is there, but definitely a lot of actions are required. So over to Dr. Ravindra Kumar. He is a very senior officer, senior scientist in CRRI, CSR organization. Over to Dr. Ravindra Kumar.
Thank you, Dr. Anilji. As already Raghaji has told very detailed highlights about the reports on the World Meteorological Organization. As you know, that world is experiencing unprecedented changes in its climate system with far-reaching implication of ecosystem, economy, and society. And in its State of Global Climate Report 2023, WMO provides a comprehensive assessment of recent trends, highlights the urgent needs for collective action to address the challenges posed by the climate change, especially the rising temperature and extreme events. One of the standout finding of WMO report is the continued rise in global temperature, and 2023 was the hottest year in the record, with the temperature surpassing historical average across much of the globe. And these trends align the broader patterns of warming observed over past century, driven primarily by human-induced greenhouse emissions. Moreover, the report underscores the increasing frequency and intensity of extreme weather linked to the climate change, and devastating the heat waves, wildfire to intense storms, flooding. Community worldwide continue to grapple the impact of extreme weather. These events not only pose the immediate threat to life and livelihoods, but also exacerbate the existing vulnerability, particularly in low-income and marginalized community. So regional disparity and impact on vulnerable population is one of the important parameters here in the report. While the climate change affects every corner of the globe, its impact are not evenly distributed. The WMO reports highlight the regional disparity in climate-related risk and vulnerability. Why I am talking about climate-related risk and vulnerability? Because the country like Sub-Sahara Africa's, they faces much of the risk of drought, food insecurity, water scarcity, accessibility of socioeconomic challenges in the region. But furthermore, the vulnerable populations in the indigenous community, including the women, children, and elderly, bear the brunt out of the climate change impact. And there are limited access to the resources, inadequate infrastructure, socioeconomic inequality amplify the susceptibility to climate-related risk that perpetuate the cycle of poverty and marginalization. So WMO also focus on the urgent needs for mitigations of the greenhouse emissions to curb the temperature rise and mitigating the severity of climate impact. And that is one of the important tasks is to transition to the renewable energy sources, enhancing the energy efficiency and implementing the sustainable land use practices. In the road sectors and transport sector, already electric vehicles, we are going for the decarbonization of transportation, and also in the road construction sector, we are going to have the many use of the waste material to reduce the carbon consumption. And that also there is a link with the technology and early warning system for the climate-based hazards. So that we have to look into how we can minimize the impact of the extreme weather. And there are need of collaborative partnership, multilateral collaborations, and there is need of urgent actions, not from one sector, not from transport. It's require the from every sections, like already Raghavji has covered the different multi-sectoral views, and that is required for the sustainable and resilient futures. So as we navigate the complexity of climate crisis, let us heed the call for collective actions and work together to safeguard our planet for generation to come. And of course, road and transport, one of the component where we are looking forward and we are working in tandem with the Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Road Transport, CPCB, and other stakeholders like PWDs and World Bank, ADB to reduce the carbon footprints of the construction as well as emissions both. So thank you very much for giving me opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ravindra Kumar. And I think always the doing CRI, CSR, doing a lot of solution for going for the sustainable development. So thank you so much, and you all highlighted things like. Before going further, I'll just request Kamakshi, you can just share just for a few minutes one report. I will just run through, not very detailed, but we have already shared in the group. You all can see that. But Kamakshi, just share that report, yeah, please. So this is the, you can say at least full report I have shared in the group. You can all can download. Earlier it was not downloaded, downloadable. Now you can download now because I have shared again. So these are the very key messages that was given, and already Ajay Raghavji and Dr. Ravindra Kumar highlighted the things like. But the report is see that's the same was initially my introduction also gave that. So, 2023 was the warmest year, maybe 24, maybe same similar pattern, or maybe higher than that, 2 degree above the pre-industrial levels. The average level that was so already very in set for in Paris Agreement. The concentration of three gases that also CO2, methane, and nitrous oxide is record high level, and these are the very main gases. Particularly that. And ocean heat content reached the highest level 65 years. Global mean sea level rise record very high. The rate of sea rise level in past about 10 years, 2023 has more than the doubled since the first decade of the satellite record. 1993 to 2002 it was very higher. That Antarctic sea ice content reached on an absolute record low in February. The annual maximum extent was around 1 million kilometers square below the previous record. How low maximum that preliminary data from the global set of reference glacier of the for the hydrological year 2023 shows between 1950 to 2023. There was extremely negative mass balance in both Western North America and Europe. Glacier Switzerland lost around 10% of the remaining volume the past 2 years. Extreme weathers, I discussed that, particularly continue to lead to several socio-economic impact. Extreme heat affected many parts of the world. We all see that the different extreme weather events that way, including India and many parts of our country, including Himachal Pradesh and the all southern states also. Wildfires in Hawaii, Canada, and Europe led to loss of life, the destruction of homes, and large scale pollution. Flooding associated with the extreme rainfall from the midstream or cyclone and effective cyclone we all see in the different part of the including Odisha and all and different coastal area. So these are very detailed impact on food security, population displacement, impact on vulnerable population, because the poor are the main affected person. So that's what India we cannot compromise with the poverty eradication and then all the programs. So these are the complete report. You all you can go through that. And next also meeting will continue with this report because we have today and because of some time lost due to technical issues in joining and other issues. So being Sunday, I'll not. I think we will not take much time, and I think we'll request all other speakers if we can speak in the next, particularly the Sunday meeting when we come that way, because we want to discuss the all details of this report. Actually, what at least in India are already doing and what further need to be done. And in my point of view, the waste management area is very, very neglecting area. I mean, we have to, and there where all individual and more awareness is required and more actions are required. Not even awareness, actions are required. So this area and other issues we can discuss in the next meeting. Kamakshi, just एक run through कर दीजिए pages को, just you. कुछ पेजेस को रन थ्रू कर दीजिए. We can all do. These are the various issues on the report. You all we have the full report in the group and all greenhouse gases and other temperature issues. Just run करते जाइए. Run through that. Everything is report is in covered this report. So because I could not send earlier, and definitely you can see everybody can send this report. And what action at least local level we can do, and what the government level can be done. This can be discussed. I mean, that was because the organization focus also the individual responsibility. I always call IER, individual environment responsibility. That was CSR is the like company and corporate are doing, but how about IER? That what my responsibility? I am individual environment responsibility. So इसको कर दीजिए, इसको stop कर दीजिए अभी. And I think everybody can download the report and you can study that. So मैं ज़्यादा टाइम न लेते हुए और anybody can 2 minutes में अगर कोई दो मिनट बोलना चाहें तो we can just welcome to that. And Shyam Gupta ji want to say something? Otherwise we'll discuss this board in the next meeting.
I can add a few points.
Yes, sir.
My submission is there is a conflict. There seems to be a conflict in what we are trying to achieve, what is our goal, and what we are trying to, in our actions to achieve that goal. मुझे लगता है कि जो हमारा effort एक तरफ हो रहा है to get relief from all this problems which we are getting, environmental problems like climate change or pollution. But on the other hand, जो हमारा एफर्ट हो रहा है वो ये हो रहा है कि जो हमारे आने वाले यूथ हैं उन सब की एजुकेशन इस तरफ डायरेक्ट की जा रही है कि तुम्हारी एस्पिरेशन बढ़ें और एस्पिरेशन में मेटेरियल कंफर्ट बढ़ें. तो जब हमारे यूथ की एस्पिरेशन मेटेरियल कंफर्ट बढ़ाने की तरफ की जा रही है और हमारा मीडिया भी उसको बहुत उजागर कर रहा है, तो ये आने वाला जो समय है ये यूथ जो है बड़े कन्फ्लिक्टिंग उसमें है कि वो मेटेरियल एस्पिरेशन को अचीव करने के लिए ही तो सारे एक्शंस लेंगे. वो एनवायरमेंटल सोल्यूशन निकालने की तरफ थोड़ी ध्यान देंगे. उनको ये नहीं सिखाया जा रहा कि भाई ईमानदारी या क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ या पीस ऑफ कंफर्ट कैसे अचीव किया जाए. उनको ये सिखाया जा रहा है कि तुम कैसे ज़्यादा मेटेरियल अचीवमेंट करो और प्रोग्रेस करो और बड़े बड़े बनने की कोशिश करो. तो ये थोड़ा सा एक कन्फ्लिक्टिंग वो है. मुझे लगता है कि हमारे एफर्ट में जो हमने कहा कि भाई लाइफ फॉर एनवायरनमेंट, उसमें सबसे बड़ा इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट ये होना चाहिए कि हमारी एजुकेशन का जो सिस्टम है, जो एजुकेशन इम्पार्ट कर रहे हैं लोगों को, उसमें बदलाव लाने की बहुत ज़रूरत है और उसको ऐसा डायरेक्ट करने की ज़रूरत है कि जिससे आगे आने वाली जो जनरेशन है वो अपने मेटेरियल कंफर्ट से हटके थोड़ा सा क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ और पीसफुलनेस और इस तरफ जाने की कोशिश करें. तभी मुझे लगता है कि हम सुधार की तरफ बढ़ पाएंगे. अदरवाइज हम ये सब चीज़ें डिस्कस ही करते रह जाएंगे. मुझे लगता है हमारी लाइफ ही खत्म हो जाएगी उसमें और कुछ अचीव शायद नहीं कर पाएंगे. इतना ही मुझे थोड़ा सा ऐड करना था बस.
जी. थैंक यू गुप्ता जी. और मैं सॉरी कहना चाहूँगा मैं अदर स्पीकर से नीरज त्यागी जी, खंडेलवाल जी, रुचिका मैडम, निशी और जो भी हैं कि हम इसको नेक्स्ट में और यू ऑल कैन जस्ट गो थ्रू द रिपोर्ट और अपना नेक्स्ट व्यू पॉइंट है इस पे जो वी विल फर्दर डिस्कस दैट. और आज बीइंग संडे में ज़्यादा टाइम ऑलरेडी हमारा थोड़ा टाइम वाज लॉस हो गया बिकॉज ऑफ दी ज्वाइनिंग टेक्निकल इश्यूज में ज्वाइनिंग में. बट आई थिंक विल टेक अप एंड पर्टिकुलरली फ्यू इंपॉर्टेंट एरिया वेयर ऑल वी कैन कंट्रीब्यूट. ऑलरेडी जैसे रुचिका मैडम बहुत सा काम कर रही हैं ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं इनकी जो RWA हैं. So definitely these are the very important area where the individuals or society level actions are required. So we'll discuss in the next report, next Sunday meeting. that was
आज हमारे बीच में निशी जी भी हैं, पत्रकार हैं, वो बहुत अच्छी काफी
जी
नेशनल
जी
लेवल पे।
सॉरी निशी जी, अगर आप 2 मिनट कुछ कहना चाहें तो आप जो है कह सकते हैं, बिकॉज नेक्स्ट में अगर ज्वाइन करें, बिकॉज ऑलरेडी आज हम थोड़ा सा हमारा टाइम लॉस हुआ है एंड ज्यादा टाइम नहीं लेके, संडे का एवरीबडी लंच टाइम होता है। सो निशी जी अगर 2 मिनट कुछ कहना चाहें तो शी कैन, आई मीन बिकॉज वॉट एवर यू लिसन विद अवर अदर स्पीकर्स, यू कैन जस्ट से फ्यू पॉइंट दैट। आई थिंक म्यूट है उनका, तो एनीवे विल कंक्लूड टुडे, और मैं इसी रिपोर्ट को विल फर्दर डिस्कस इन दी कमिंग संडे मीटिंग। So thank you all the speakers, thank you all the our expert members and all the